All right, it's 5 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting, the Monday, May 6, 2013 meeting of the Logansport Common Council to order. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Here.
Bob Bishop.
Here.
Joe Buck. Gary Cox.
Here.
Charlie Hastings.
Here.
Chuck Liddell.
Here.
Teresa Popejoy. Present.
Members of council, some of you may be aware that Council President Buck had a death in family. His brother in California passed away, and he's not able to be here tonight. So our condolences go out to Joe, and wish him safe travels back. Approval of the minutes from the April 1st and April 9th, 2013 meetings.
Your Honor, make a motion that the minutes be accepted as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy. Yes.
There are no comments of the mayor. Under petitions or comments of citizens, we have Beth Myers here tonight, and it is a great pleasure for me to invite Beth to come forward. I'm going to step down and help Beth. And Beth, if you would, please step to the microphone and tell us just a little bit about what's going on.
Do I have to give my name and address?
Please do. Yeah.
Beth Myers, 3015 High Street, and I'm a teacher at Logansport High School. The 175th committee asked me to do an essay contest, an essay and a poster contest, so I did. And we are lucky enough tonight to be able to award money to the winners. And so that's, the mayor has agreed to hand the money if I announce the winners, so I'm going to do that.
Imagine that.
So some people might want a photo opportunity, so I'm going to start with the poster contest. We are lucky enough to have the LHS Art Department choose the winners because I'm an English teacher, high school, so art, especially young art, is not my forte. We have our third place winner is Berlin Huff. Second place winner is Lanny Huff. And our first place winner, if you saw it in the parish yesterday on one of the front sections, is Finley Henninger. For the elementary essay contest, we have our third place winner is Mallory Alder. Our second place essay winner is Erin Bean. First place winner in elementary is Brooke Beasy.
The campaign
Actually, at the larger. All right, for middle school now, we have our third place winner for Lincoln, Madeline Dexter. Second place winner, Taylor Pasquale. And our first place winner for middle school is Emily Justice. Borzarko. And our first place winner is Cassie Newman. I want to thank the mayor for handing that money out for me, and thank you for all your participation. They are online. There was a great article yesterday in the paper, and there's also a YouTube video that I put together for all the posters, because I don't have a spreadsheet big enough for all of them. So I put up 50 or so of them online, and you can check that out. And thanks again.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Beth. Are there any petitions or comments of citizens? All right, hearing none. Are there reports from committees, boards, or commissions? Councilman Bishop.
Yeah, I wanted to give a report from the Parks Committee or Department of the fact that the bleachers at Steinman Park have been finished. I want to acknowledge this group of people for planning, arranging the donations, organizing the work crews, preparing the site for the bleachers, tearing down the old bleachers and selling it for scrap to help pay for the project, which was about $700, and helping in the placement of the bleachers. Without the volunteers doing the heavy lifting for this project, it would have not been possible to complete it within the budget that the council set. Those people were Brandon Collins, Don Gellinger, Mitch Long, Mike Prentice, Rex Gellinger, Eric Hall, and Jason McDonald. I wanted to thank all those people for putting their time and effort in that project. Turned out great. That's it.
All right. Are there any more reports from committees, boards, or commissions? All right, hearing none. Connie Neininger sent me a text today and advised me that she is out of town in Chicago on important business for the city. She's not going to be able to attend. Sends her apologies and says that she'll make it up next month. Also tonight we have Trent Newport with Crossroads Engineering. Trent is going to give us a report on the final report on the roundabout at Chase Road and Davis.
Yeah, just leave it in the table then. Thank you. Getting good with that one hand.
Good evening. My name is Trent Newport with Crossroad Engineers. I'm one of the principal owners of our company. Got a chance to be selected back some time ago on the Chase Road project. And I was born and raised in the area here, so it was a great honor to be back involved in a project, especially of this magnitude. I grew up in Cass County, went to Lewis Cass. My wife went to Logansport, so it was really cool to be involved in a project back home. We felt like it had a lot of successes. It was obviously a project that involved both the county and the city. What we'd like to do, or what I'd like to do, is go back into that community afterwards and kind of show a breakdown of that project. This is kind of showing the different phases: design, right-of-way. That right-of-way is right-of-way services, land costs. That's the actual land that was purchased for the project, the inspection, and then the construction. We were involved from back in the days when we were getting the funding for the project, so we went with some of the city employees and the county employees to go up to NDOT, LaPorte District, to try to win the funding. It actually took 2 or 3 times on this project, pieces that we got enough to cover the entire project. And so we helped establish that budget. We were within the budget on the project, and actually, as you can see on all those phases, we were within the budgets that we originally set. And hopefully that was recognized by the staff as far as monies that you had set aside. One of the things on this project that we were able to do to assist you and the county in doing is that since you followed the federal process and you got the federal grants, we were able to lobby the district to get 90-10 funding instead of the 80-20 based on the expenditures that you had on design and right-of-way. And so it actually ended up to be, the expenditures that you see at the bottom, the total cost by agency. There was federal funding of nearly $3 million, and then the city had a little over 500 in the project, and Cass County had a little over 600. For the most part, it was a 50-50 split between the county and the city, as you know. But when it came to buying the properties that were in the city and the county, you each bought your own properties, and the county's was a little bit more specifically because of where the roundabout was, the house there on the corner. The other sheets that I put in here are just some marketing information. We're a company of about 35 people, and we do not have any marketing staff. It's pretty odd for our industry, but it's something that we've kind of stuck with now for 17 years, and we're pretty proud of. Our owners, myself and my two co-owners, we do our marketing. So the bad news is sometimes we don't get out and market very much because we're busy doing our jobs, and so we fall behind sometimes. And I try to take these opportunities to come back in communities. I'd like to hear, what kind of successes or what kind of problems you've had with the project since then. We're certainly going to always have our phone on and try to come back if we have issues. I know on this project, it was a roundabout in the community, which was a first and a big deal. We had a couple different public meetings that we had. I was told everybody that one of the biggest, the most outspoken person against the project was my 93-year-old grandma, and so it took a lot of convincing to her that we needed a roundabout there. But I think there were a lot of concerns all the way from, how's this going to work? Are people going to be able to figure it out? Can we really get equipment around it? It's going out to the fair. Can we get farm equipment around it? And so we tried to address those things up front. I know I've talked to your schools about teaching, roundabout in school and in the driver's ed classes, because it's going to be something they're going to see. It's been something that's proven to be safer, and in the right place, it can really be a good tool. Not that it's for every place, but I think this one worked out pretty well. At least I would think I'd be getting phone calls if it didn't. But I'd like to hear some feedback there, and then just any questions you have about the project.
Well, thank you, Trent. Thanks for being here. I know it was quite a problem to overcome. It seemed like we originally had this scheduled back in January or February.
I think that was my fault. Yeah, I was sick during that time, and then trying to line up with the county, and so I appreciate your patience.
Yeah. But overall, I think it's like anything where we propose a change, something that people aren't used to. It's met with some resistance, but I've had nothing but good feedback on it from everybody except my mother, who went left. And
she was the one, huh?
Other than that, I think it's worked out really well, and lots of good feedback, and I think people like it.
Very good. This is, I think, Cass County Logansport was the 9th place that we've done a roundabout where it's the first in the community. Mm-hmm. And so we put together the program. We learned our lesson the hard way the first time when we didn't really go out and talk about it ahead of time, and we got really bombarded during construction. So then we decided, all right, let's go out ahead of time and try to get people to come and listen to what we're doing and why we're doing it and why it makes sense. And even though they may leave the room saying, no, I still don't get it, every place that we've been, afterwards they get it. Afterwards they understand it does work. Hopefully you see that the traffic doesn't get stuck there during the fair time when it's busy. Obviously, you don't see it stacking up like it did. It was a bad intersection from the standpoint of being jogged and people trying to get out and gun it because of the sight distance. And a lot of those problems can go away just because you're really just going up and looking left, and you just have that one thing to focus on. And you're going to have some accidents. You can't guard against that, but they're not going to be what they were before as far as the injury or the magnitude of them. So all in all, though, we're proud of the entire project. It was obviously a project that stretched all the way to Michigan Road, and we worked a lot with all the stakeholders, whether they own property along there. Our goal was to try to keep them from calling your offices and try to catch those issues that they had during the project, whether it was getting access in and out or whatever ahead of time before it became a bigger issue. Hopefully we did that. I'm sure we did. I'm sure Dan's life was still a little rough during the project, but hopefully we helped that. And our biggest goal is to keep the project on schedule. We beat the fair with the roundabout opening, which I know was, if that didn't happen, the world was going to end. So we understood that was a goal we had to meet, and then the budget. And so we're very proud of those things. We'd like to continue our relationship with the City of Logansport when there are opportunities. And just like we did on that project, we will team with local firms We teamed with about 4 different local firms on services that they could provide on that project, services that they were qualified to do under NDOT. So,
Okay. Any questions for Trent?
Yeah, I got a couple. One, I've been told that actually a roundabout is actually cheaper to construct than a traditional intersection. Is that true, or?
Can be. Sometimes
Depending
it
on
is, sometimes
size,
it's not. Yeah, it depends on the size. I mean, if you're just talking about redoing a 4-way stop going to a roundabout, no, it's going to be more expensive. But if you're talking about taking, like for instance, that intersection that we did here, we actually did a cost analysis, and we were able to show that it was cheaper than a signal. Now, it was still realigning the intersection, and the reason is that when you put a signal in, you have to have tangent pieces coming up to the signal for a certain distance before they get to the signal for safety purposes and by state and federal guidelines. So what that did is it pushed the limits out further on Peterman, Perrysburg Road. It pushed the limits out further to the east, and so it increased the cost. And so on a roundabout, you can kind of shift the legs around, and they don't have to come in right at there, and they don't have to be perpendicular. They can come in at an angle, and sometimes you actually prefer that. And so in this case it was. In a lot of cases they're about equal, especially if you throw in maintenance or replacing of the signals down the road. Then most times the roundabout's going to win out. But it really depends on the intersection.
That was a good candidate for that intersection there, I'd say.
Yeah,
My second question is, I'm curious, didn't you say that was a 90-10 match?
it turned out to be, it was awarded as an 80-20 match. But what you can do, and the rules change all the time, but at the time they had a rule where you were allowed to, up to your 20% match, you could use the service fees for half of that. So what we had done is you had already been paying for design and right-of-way services, and we followed the federal guidelines, so we were able to apply that towards the other half of the 20% match. And then if you just do simple math, you've got to be able to be under budget to be able to take advantage of that, and we were under budget of the money that we got.
Well, my simple math here is not figuring out this total of $3 million, city and county, so that's more like 30% match. So that's why there's something that didn't quite jive up there. But
The total is the $4 million.
I have 2.95 here, federal funding.
Right. So the total that's highlighted is the
Okay,
$4
yeah,
million.
all
So
up.
if you break that down into
Be 5, 3, 4, yeah. Okay, that answers that question. That's all I got.
Thank you
Trent?
very much, Trent. I'm sorry.
I work out by the fairgrounds, and so it's great. I drive it every day. I've watched the learning curve of people using it and how much more efficient it's become. My only complaint was when I had to drive to work while you were doing the construction. Took a 2-minute trip to work and made it about, I don't know, 15.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's awesome.
Yeah,
And,
there weren't a lot of good detours.
No, there weren't.
So, and that's one of the things, and really the signal too, but any type of major intersection like that, you're going to have to shut down, or we would always suggest to shut down just because it's kind of like pulling off a Band-Aid, but it's going to be cost prohibitive to do it in pieces.
Right.
When you can let the contractor have the whole thing. So, but I'm glad to hear that, somebody that uses it every day. I don't know if anybody's seen the picture. We did a presentation and we took a aerial photograph.
Yeah.
We had that framed, and I'm not sure where it ended up, but if you take a look at that, the roundabout, it's got a neat story behind it. It's got a smiley face.
Sure
You can only
does.
see it from the air, but what it is that retaining wall was on the south end, and that was put in there to help with the grade differences. That road has quite a climb as you drive north on Davis. But the CAD guy that was driving, he was drawing it up back during design, and I said, well, we want to put 3 coniferous trees in there. And so he spits it out on the plotter, and I brought it to him, and I said, did you really mean to do this? It's a smiley face. And he goes, no, I didn't even pay attention. I'll change it. And I was like, no, let's leave it. Nobody's going to know unless they see it from the air. So, so we had your, help me out, the local photographer. He's done all my,
Rich
did my
Voorhees.
senior pictures too. Yeah, Rich I called him up, and I didn't tell him about it. So he called me back after flying and said, "Did you know it was a smiley face?" So, anyways, pretty cool. You can see that from the air.
Yeah, I think he put it on his Facebook page when he said,
Did
"Hey,
he?
look at the roundabout." Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it's worked out well.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. By the way, the photograph is hanging right at the bottom of the stairs as you go
Okay,
down.
great. I'll check it out. I appreciate your time tonight. I really do.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Trent.
All right, under old business, ordinance 2013-11. Councilman Liddell, please.
Ordinance 2013-11, an ordinance to Logansport and fringe area zoning map for Logansport Cass County Industrial Park. Your Honor, I call for a vote. Second reading on ordinance 2013-11.
Second.
Ordinance 2013-11 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Teresa Popejoy. Yes. Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-11 passes on second reading, a vote of 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Ordinance 2013-13. Councilman Ashcraft, please.
Ordinance 2013-13, an ordinance approving the additional appropriation of funds from the general fund for the hiring of additional police officers. Your Honor, I call for a vote to second reading on ordinance 2013-13.
Second.
Ordinance 2013-13 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll call for a vote on ordinance 2013-13.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy. Yes.
Ordinance 2013-13 passes on a vote of 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Ordinance 2013-15. Councilman Fox, please.
Ordinance 2013-15, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, adopting Resolution 2012-5 of the Logansport Parks and Recreation Board to designate certain park areas as nature preserves. I motion for ordinance 2013-15.
Second.
Ordinance 2013-15 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll call for the vote on ordinance 2013-15.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy. Yes. Charlie Hastings. Did I get you, Charlie?
No. Yes. Tried to trick you. Ordinance 2013-15 passes on a vote of 6 in favor and 0 opposed. Under new business, resolution 2013-12. Councilperson Popejoy, please.
Resolution 2013-12, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, approving the transfer of certain monies for the Community Development Department. Mayor Franklin, I call for a vote on resolution 2013-12.
Second.
Ordinance 2013, resolution 2013-12 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote on resolution 2013-12.
Gary Fox.
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy.
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Bob Bishop.
Yes.
Resolution 2013-12 passes on a vote of 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Resolution 2013-13, I believe it's Councilman Hastings' turn.
Resolution 2013-13, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, approving the funding for legal representation. Your Honor, I call for a vote on resolution 2013-13.
Second.
Resolution 2013-13 has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
I have a question I actually thought of today.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, and I asked Councilman Liddell about it earlier today, in the past, the city's insurance has paid a portion and or all legal fees associated with suits like this. Is that not the case in this time around?
I am not aware of that option at this point in time. It has not been made available to us yet.
Has it been brought to Regions? Is it been brought to
They're
our
very
insurance?
aware of it, yes.
Okay.
And at this point in time, there's no response.
Thank you.
No, you're quite welcome, and um,
I would
there's
think that our insurance may cover it if we ended up not winning this and we had to pay it, but if we don't have.
and that's part of what the dilemma is. Before we can get an answer, the folks that provided the service for us would like to be paid. If in the meantime, if we recover any damages,
Okay.
we will reimburse the account from which this came.
Thank you. I just happened to think of that today.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Okay. I'm sorry. Yes, please come forward.
Who's your city attorney?
My city attorney is Randy Head, the gentleman to my right. I'm sorry. Please come forward, state your name and your address.
Kevin McCarthy, 2077 Burlington. So, Randy, you're the attorney for the city,
Randy is the attorney for the city.
okay? And so the $25,000 is for this particular case. Is Randy already getting paid by the city to be the attorney for the city?
Randy is paid by the city for services related to work along with the city. This is a special project that is developed as part of the power plant initiative that we have. And in that initiative, there are costs factored into that for specialty items such as the build, operate, transfer agreement, the purchase power agreement, and the public-private partnership law. It's a very specialized area of law, and we factor that into the total cost.
So
That,
he gets paid normally for a certain realm, he's beyond that realm now, so that would be something.
No, the 25,000 does not go to the city attorney. It goes to a separate set of attorneys. And this lawsuit, or this appropriation that we're considering tonight, is to defend a lawsuit that was brought against the city.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, and no, I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
It sounded like Randy was getting paid twice.
No, not at all. I'm very sorry for the confusion.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Could you state your name one more time and your address?
Kevin McCarthy, 2077 Burlington.
Thank you.
I'd also like to point out that actually the city council does not actually have an attorney on a retainer. Basically, Randy actually works for the mayor. So when we had the lawsuit, we actually had to hire our own attorney. We had no choice.
And council, if it pleases the council, I would request that this entire resolution be read into the record as a matter of clarity, just so that those,
read it?
yes, please.
I read it. Oh, you read it. I read it.
I would like for it to be read into the record for anybody who watches this on our online, on the city's website, that they would have a
Okay,
record.
Resolution 2013-13, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, approving the funding for legal representation, whereas the City of Logansport is involved in litigation in a suit filed as Kitchell versus Franklin, cause number 09-DO2-1303-PL-000011. Whereas the City of Logansport requires unappropriated funds for the payment of attorney fees encumbered by such lawsuit. Whereas the City of Logansport is required to timely pay any and all allowable claims. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, Section 1, that the funds for attorney fees be taken from the rainy day fund in an amount not to exceed $25,000. Section 2, this resolution shall be in effect from and after its passage by the Common Council and approval by the Mayor of the City of Logansport, Indiana. That's it.
Council, city council, not legal counsel. That's IL, not EL. I would ask also, as a point of clarity, if you would read this into the record, and that is who the money would be distributed to, as to remove any doubt as to whether or not the city attorney is receiving additional funds. There's a total on there, one on the city, the mayor's attorney, one on the city council attorney.
Okay, this is John R. Molitor, attorney at law in Indianapolis, Indiana. He had 29 total attorney hours at an hourly rate of $175 per hour, which would equal out to $5,075 for services rendered 1/1/13 through 4/15/13. The other one is Barnes and Thornburg LLP. They also are in Indianapolis. Their total amount was, let's see, hours. Let's see that.
I think it's 50 hours.
Huh?
50 hours.
50 hours. 50 hours. Fees for services, $19,160. Copy and charges, $14.70, for a total invoice of $19,174.70. That's the two legal groups hired to represent us.
So that's it under the 25,000.
Yep.
So that was 50 hours at 19,160, Charlie?
Yep,
So for an hourly rate of $383.20 an hour.
there it is.
Is that in the form of a motion? Could you submit those two in the form of a motion, those two supporting documents as an appendix to the resolution?
I'll make a motion, we put these two documents in as an amendment to the original resolution that I read.
Second.
I think that clarifies any misunderstanding that may be there.
Charlie, was it documented in that document? Because I had it and I didn't find how many hours. Did you find the hours
Yep, it's in there.
on the Barnes and Thornburg?
Yep.
That wasn't in our last one, Chuck.
It doesn't have the,
Doesn't have the total, but he had the total.
Okay.
So it's-
okay, so it doesn't have a total listed, it's just what they've, okay. That's what I was looking for.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the amendment? All right, hearing none, we'll call for a vote on the amendment.
What are we amending?
To read those two documents into the record, to add them as an appendix, the two invoices that we received.
It's an amendment to the original resolution.
To Resolution 2013-13?
Right, an amendment to
Yeah.
that, right. Well, the two I just read.
Okay.
Just add it to the resolution.
Yeah.
Okay, question.
Jeremy Ashcraft,
Yes.
Bob Bishop,
Yes.
Gary Fox,
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell,
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy.
Yes.
The amendment passes on a vote of 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Now Resolution 1313 in its entirety. Call for the vote.
Bob Bishop,
Yes.
Gary Fox,
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Chuck Liddell,
Yes.
Teresa Popejoy,
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Resolution 2013-13 passes on a vote of 6-0 as amended. Council, I spoke with you briefly prior to this meeting. The next four ordinances, 2013, 16, 17, 18, and 19, were placed on tonight's agenda. And there was a scheduling conflict with the Community Development Director. She's not able to be here tonight due to her attendance at some continuing education in Muncie. And I would ask you to take those last four ordinances under advisement until further notice. She is not here to explain any changes that may have been.
You need a motion.
Yes, I need it.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to take ordinance 2013-16, ordinance 2013-17, ordinance 2013-18, and ordinance 2013-19 under advisement until further notice. Is there any discussion? Call for the vote. I'm sorry. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Teresa Popejoy,
Yes.
Chuck Liddell,
Yes.
Charlie Hastings.
Yes.
Gary Fox,
Yes.
Bob Bishop,
Yes.
Jeremy Ashcraft.
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 2013, I'm sorry, ordinance 2013, 16, 17, 18, and 19 are taken under advisement until further notice. Is there any board member comments? Is there any public comments? Yeah, please come forward, state your name.
Andrea Ryan, 801 Bates Street, Logansport. I was just looking these over, and the ones with the abandoned vehicles and parking on the green space, I was just looking at your definition of a vehicle. I noticed you have motorized bicycles, but I was concerned about mopeds since that is a concern in Logansport. I didn't know if that was going to be considered a vehicle because that is an issue in Logansport. So I didn't know if that would be considered a vehicle. Also, for the parking on the green space, didn't know if there'd be parking permits allowed by the city during graduations or holidays where you have large amounts of people parking in green spaces.
And I think we share some of your same concerns with the verbiage that's included in these ordinances as they exist, and we would like to have those areas cleared up before we act on, which is part of the reason that we asked for this to be taken under advisement.
Okay.
I certainly share your concerns with that.
And will that be in the newspaper when that'll be addressed again?
If you would be kind enough to leave your name and phone number, we'll contact you and make sure that you're made aware of it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Is there, are there any other miscellaneous business, including matters not already considered? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.